Happy Thursday to everybody. Hope you're all having a great week as we prepare for Christmas. Um, this is Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. It is your responsibility to do your own due diligence, but let's get on with the show. First, I'm going to show a screen, a little PowerPoint, uh, with some things that I've put together. So let's go to the top. So it appears investors are all in on tech and the AI trade. Seems here's what it's been looking like, and then all of a sudden it pops. This is according to Haver Analytics and Rosenberg Research. And then we go to this delinquency rate on credit card loans. Banks not among the 100 largest in size by assets. And look at this delinquency rate as it just shoots up and up and up. And we move over here to spending per household on holiday items based on Bank of America aggregated credit and debit data, 7-day moving average, last 4 weeks. And look at this move up. So on to next, Warren Buffett is selling 28.7 billion in stock. How does that say about the economy? And let's move to the next one. Danger. What is the main risk of a high debt to GDP ratio? Default risk for a country. How does a modern monetary theory view national debt? It suggests sovereign countries do not need to rely on taxes or borrowing for spending, since they can print as much money as they need. Another danger, which countries have the highest debt to GDP ratio? Japan has the highest general government to debt GDP ratio. Next was Greece with a heading of 177.4% compared to Japan's 161.3. The US was fifth with a debt to GDP ratio of 121.4. Bottom line, the debt to GDP ratio is a metric that helps understand a country's ability to pay back its debts. Lower debt to GDP ratio is ideal. And let's go to the next one. Penn Wharton asked, when does the federal debt reach unsustainable levels? Financial markets demand a higher interest rate to purchase government debt as the supply of that debt increases. And the Federal Reserve wants to lower interest rates. How long will that hold up? So this is Janet Yellen when we had a 20 trillion national debt. She said it should keep people awake at night. Well, now our national debt is approaching 34 trillion, and Yellen is not losing any sleep. So there we have it. We go to just switch the screen to the S&P heat map. Share that screen. This is today. Microsoft up marginally, Nvidia up 1.83, Google up, continues after its breakout. Meta was up. A lot of things were down yesterday. So they're kind of bouncing. We had some economic reports out. We'll go over that after we go through the news. Financials are up. Restaurants continue to shine. Traveler services. Energy is up. Basic materials. So almost everything is bouncing today. So that's the story there. And let's go back here, share screen. You don't want to worry about vagaries of the market. You don't want to lose money. An annuity may be your best thing. Steps up, does not come down. Steps up again, does not come down. outpaces index investing by about 5%. Want to learn more about that, please reach out to us. And let's go to our screen. We'll share this screen. Denison Mines, one of our things that we've been watching, pulled back about 5% today. We'll continue to watch that. And let's see what the dollar did. Dollar continues lower, down another 0.44%. Silver is up today. Take a look at our silver trade. We said to sell it right around here, buy it back after it bounced, and it's continuing up. Looks like it's building the right side of a base. Gold continues up as well, up 0.71%. Our copper play in Canada, it bounced over here, had slight pullback, and then bounced again, and it just keeps moving on up 1.42% today. And look at the rest of the copper trade. Southern Copper keeps going up. We had a gap up right over here. Once you got above the 200-day, I guess the buy point would have been right 77.31. Either one of these days. FCX, Freeport McMoran. They're working on the double bottom. 44.80 would be the buy point, but you could buy it earlier. Just draw the line. Could draw the line there, or draw the line over the tops here. So it'd be somewhere in this area. You could buy, or buy right over as it gapped up here. Freeport McMoran is doing well. Vale gapping up today. What would be a buy point here? So it gapped up here and pulled back. I would say you could just draw the line over here. Could possibly be here, or you could draw the line over here. It's not 16.12 yet, but continue to watch it. In Australia, BHP. So you could draw the line right there. This would be the day to buy after it cleared this level, and it just continues up. And then Rio. Moved up here, got a little bit of a pullback, and I would say that this gap up here would have been the day to buy. It pulled back a little bit, but it did not validate the low of the gap. And BHP and Rio, they both have over 5% dividend yield on those two. Let's look at 0TNX. Bond bounce today. You don't want to get it too low. It's come below its 200-day moving average. Really doesn't have much faith in the economy if it gets way too low. But it's right around 3.89% on the 10-year. And on the 20-year, it's about pretty close to even 3. It's got a little bit of a bounce today as well. Take a look at the VIX. Tried to move higher and then sold off, but it has come off of these really, really low levels. S&P 500. bounced off of its 10-day moving average today after that economic news came out and jobs information. So RSP bounced as well, got back to the buy zone after that nasty sell-off yesterday, which came back to the 10-day moving average. IWM, it's always good to keep people have a little bit of fear in the market, I feel. And big bounce here in the small caps. Dow Jones bouncing as well. And we look at the NASDAQ bouncing, trying to get back to the $15,000 level. And here is the equal weighted, looks pretty strong, pulled back, and then it gapped up this morning. Let me see if I can get the NASDAQ composite. This is a computer index, but well, we can't find it right now. We'll see if we can find it later. But let's look at some of the news that came out yesterday since we missed our show. Showcase continued strong. Had this big move off of its moving average. Their earnings came in at 30 cents versus estimate 22 cents. Toyota Motors, Daihatsu unit will halt shipments of its vehicles after a safety scandal investigation found issues involving 64 models. So let's go take a look at Toyota Motor. Did have a pullback and it's kind of bouncing today. FedEx had a nasty sell-off. Their EPS came in at $3.99 versus $4.20. Yeah, really gapped down yesterday, trying to bounce back off of its 200-day moving average today. Worthington Industries, quarter two adjusted EPS, 78 cents versus 71 cents. Sold off initially yesterday and bouncing back today. API weekly oil inventory showed that crude stockpiles rose 939 barrels versus negative 2.3 million expected. Financials, Aon said it will buy NFP, a middle market property and casualty broker, deal value to 13.4 million, and people did not like losing, being diluted there. Fulton Financial Corporation announced an increased common stock dividend, preferred stock dividend, $125 million repurchase program, and it is bouncing today. Yesterday, it did pull back a little. International Money Express announces its collaboration with Visa, which extends the money transfer experience. Visa moved up on that news yesterday, and it is continuing its move today. Guardant Health announces tentative date of FDA advisory panel review for Shield blood tests. Sold off kind of nasty yesterday, but it did bounce back today. Rite Aid received court approval for bankruptcy loan that would let the company borrow an additional $200 million. It's up 2.28% today at 17 cents. Can't really see what it did yesterday. We could do the look back. Yesterday it was up 0.5% to 16 cents. So let's go keep moving here. Onto technology, media, and telecom. BABA yesterday said its CEO Eddie Wu would directly oversee its domestic e-commerce arm, Taobao and Tmall Group. Moved up yesterday, but it's selling off today. CNK, Cinemark, downgraded to underweight from equal weight at Wells Fargo. They sold off yesterday and moved up, and they gapped down today on that news. Clear Channel, upgraded to overweight from equal weight at Wells Fargo as the company returns to growth. They gapped up and sold it off at the close today, but they did move up slightly yesterday. Like the move much better today. Cinemark, I believe we looked at that. Salesforce downgraded to equal weight from overweight at Wells Fargo yesterday. Didn't do much yesterday, but it definitely, no, I guess we didn't change the date. So yeah, what sold off yesterday and is returning to glory today. And Tesla, which we're going to look at a little later, supplier Panasonic said it has decided against building an electric vehicle battery factory in Oklahoma. So let's see what that does to Panasonic. It actually bounced some on that news. It's up 3%. That was yesterday's news. We'll pull up today's. The bull bear spread in American Association of Individual Investors weekly survey was 32 versus 32 last week. Bulls rise to 52.9 from 51.3. Neutrals fall to 26.2 from 29.4. Bears rise to 20.9 from 19.3. On to company news. Miller Knoll, quarter two adjusted EPS, 59 cents versus 54 cents. Initially moved up into pretty close to the profit-taking range and then really sold off. I guess people started taking their profits. Smart of them. Dave & Buster's announced that its CFO, Michael Quartieri, will be retiring from the company effective April 30th, 2024. Will continue to serve as CFO until its successor is appointed. Initially sold off on that news, but then really rose. NEO, up slightly today, up 4.67%. Li Auto is down, falling below its 200-day moving average. Not a good sign. And XPeng is up slightly. Shares may be active after reports the Biden administration is discussing raising tariffs on some Chinese goods, including electric vehicles. The Wall Street Journal reported late Wednesday, citing people familiar with the matter. And then Tesla faces an inquiry by Norway's traffic safety regulator into suspension failures in company's electric cars that could result in a recall, the agency told Reuters. But now let's look at this. This looks like a pretty good double bottom. And we also have what looks like double bottom here, comes up here and takes it out down here. So it looks like we got a couple of double bottoms. So it did raise today. So the high of this one would be 252.85. And it looks like it took that out. And the high over here would be 279.08. So we'll look for volume to grow. Kathy Woods apparently has started buying into Tesla again. TriPoint Homes announces a $250 million stock repurchase program, and their stock is moving up on this. This looks pretty good. Had a big volume over here and sold off and it looks like it could be a shakeout. Shakeout is when professional money managers sell an issue, try to get a better price, scare out retail investors, and then it starts moving up again when they start buying. Let's look at energy, industrials, materials. Apogee Enterprises Q3 adjusted EPS $1.23 versus $1.10. And investors like that. Manufactures glass, aluminum, window, and curtain wall for commercial institutional buildings. Boeing shares edge higher pre-market after Reuters reported the plane market set to restart deliveries of 787 Dreamliner in China after 2 years. So it went up slightly today. We got a little shelf building here. My favorite pattern, up 0.68% on increased volume. On to financials. Raymond James, November financial assets under management rose 9.9%, and their stock sold off slightly, bouncing off the 10-day moving average. Pretty low volume on the sell-off, so that's what you want to see. Healthcare, Immunovant and Roivant report positive initial phase 2 results for batoclimab in Graves' disease that intend to focus future development in Graves on IMVT-1402. So Immunovant moved up quite a bit on that news. Pretty good volume. Roivant also moving up. Not quite filling the gap, but up 5.8%. Merck drug candidate to treat chronic cough didn't show substantial evidence of effectiveness. Still, the stock is bouncing off the 10-day moving average. Ocugen gains FDA alignment on key aspects of OCU 400 modifier gene therapy, pivotal phase 3 study design, and it's moving up 6.86%, moved 3 cents, and it's almost 7%. That's pretty amazing. QDEL receives 510K clearance for Savannah Multiplex Molecular Platform and Savannah HSV 1+2. And that is moving up on that news, almost 4%. On to technology, media, and telecom. Micron Technologies Q1 EPS loss, 95 cents versus estimate of 97-cent loss. It's moving up because they're hoping for a turnaround here, gapped up after the earnings came out. So massive volume, biggest volume since the base over here. So it's looking pretty extended on the chart, but this is good for Micron, good for the industry. This is something to look forward in the semiconductor area. BlackBerry, big sell-off. Q3 adjusted EPS 1 cent versus estimate loss of 3 cents. People were looking for more. They're making revenue on their software. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav met with Paramount Global CEO on Tuesday in New York City to discuss a possible merger. Warner is down, and Paramount is down as well on those news. And then we looked at Salesforce yesterday, but we're looking up today, was upgraded to overweight from equal weight at Morgan Stanley, saying that the stock continues to trade at a discount to its large cap software peers. So it's up 2.69%. And finally, TE Connectivity files automatic mixed security shelf. I did not type all of the ticker symbols, and there it is, up 0.99%. Not much volume. So there we have the news for today. Look at some of our ETFs. Financials bouncing off of the 10-day moving average. Energy trying to get above the 200-day. Our oil prices up 0.35%. Had been a big pullback yesterday. Take a look at, we haven't looked at natural gas for a while. Up 6% today. It's hard to see it, but it is. Utilities, slight bounce. Real estate bouncing off of the 10-day moving average, like most things we've been looking at. Biotech, yeah, bouncing, gapping up, bouncing off the 10-day. Same with the IBB. Technology, bouncing off of the 10-day. Software, big gap up on software today, up 1.36%. And we got PAVE, continues to do well. Semiconductors, with that Micron news, gapping up. Airline, gapping up from the big sell-off yesterday. Leisure activities. Yeah, we got number of the cruise lines doing well today, up nearly, over 3.5%. Industrials bouncing off of the 10-day. Building materials bouncing off of the 10-day, big nice gap up there. Mining and metals continue to surge. They did have a big sell-off yesterday, but they're up to $60. The breakout was right over about here, about 54. So it's gone up 6 points. Nice move. Housing, right in that kind of area. The high beta, which is no longer accepting investors, apparently, is up strong today. And 3 times the FANG companies is up nearly 4% today. So let's see what was moving the market. Looks like earlier in the day, there was more things that were moving the market, but the amount of companies that had high buying really turned down. Notice that this company is starting to get the software. Wow, look at that. Nice gap up, massive volume. This is an IPO from 2020. 1,009% growth in profits this year. That's simply amazing. Provides binary repository management solution for software distribution to software developers. Another IPO in the financial area from 2020. nCino, cloud-based software solutions for banks and financial institutions, working on the right side of its base. Pretty high volume today. Next tracker in solar. Looks like we got a breakout over here. Pulled back for a handle and a big bounce. Nice volume. Like we got Catalyst Pharmaceuticals, Biotech. Nice breakout here. What do you think this is? This is either a flat base or a shelf pattern. Might be a little too wide for shelf, but pretty good volume and a nice breakout here. Zillow Group continues to perform well. Moved up into the buy area. Highest, well, looks like this was pretty high. It says this is the highest volume since base, so it's hard to believe with seeing this volume higher over here, but now this is a company that I keep harping on. Nice volume over here. working on a big kind of base. Um, the 5820 would be the natural breakout of a first institutional base, but I would think that when it came up here, buy point would be right around here, would have broke right through here. So it would have been 37.74 would have been the buy point. I was buying at 33. I had this on my show, talking about it right over here in the 33 to 34 area. And when it pulled back here, I bought a little more. I was happy to see this move up. So we're really getting some good buying in here. Earnings were up 160% last quarter, 400% the previous quarter. I really think this is going to do well, but you need to do your own due diligence, like I said earlier in the show. And Joy ADR, Chinese voice and video communications, continues to get buying 2 out of 3 days here, over here, and over here. We got Manpower, Monolithic Power Systems. Got some good volume here after a big pullback, bouncing off the 10-day moving average. And we got Allegion moving up. Big base here. Got some good blue bars over here, good volume. Not sure if this would be the buy point. Possible that this would have been a better day to buy. And one that was on earlier that I don't see right now is Marathon Digital is the biggest producer of Bitcoin, just continues to rise. Look at all this buying in here. Right now, it seems a little stretched. I'd wait for a little bit of a pullback of some sort. So that is so down in price. Paychecks, huge gap down. It's getting more and more competition. Their earnings only up 9%. Zlab, China-based company, therapies to treat oncology. Huge gap down 10%. United Therapeutics, another biotech. This continues falling like a knife. I want to stay away from that one. Sava, Kosova, another biotech, gapping down today, down a little over 10%. So these biotechs aren't doing too well today. And HAE, Harmonics, surgical blood and donors and patients. It's only down 0.8, but it's got several days in a row. Just couldn't get above this $90.53. So that is that report. So let's take a look at a couple of things here. First, let's take a look at, see what NVIDIA did. Looks like it's kind of, really like this tight pattern as a pattern kind of tightens up. We're just looking for some big volume to break above 505.48. So 505.58 would be a nice breakout. But let's go over to Tesla. You could possibly look at buying after it broke out over here. But I really like this little pullback here. It's hard to see on my phone. it looked a little clearer that this is a double bottom. Now I'm not so sure, but this is definitely a double bottom over here. I bought I believe it was 252, two call options. So it's looks like it's starting to work. Kathy Woods bought a number of shares in Tesla again. Whether it's good for you to buy or not, you need to do your own due diligence. And then let's take a look at ELF. I was been talking about them for a while, that I bought the calls at 120. Did have a big pullback yesterday, and not much movement today. We'll just kind of have to see where it is. It's at 145. Investors Business Daily had them picked for the what IBD's 50 growth stocks to watch as the beauty products maker is in buy territory. Hit a new high on yesterday before retreating. Company makes and sells cosmetics, skincare, and products through retailers such as Target, Ulta Beauty. I found it at Old Navy yesterday. As we said, ELF stands for eyes, lips, and face. Boasts it can offer quality products at lower prices. I was speaking to somebody earlier that said it was a half price to some of the other makeup that they had bought in the past. It ranks number 1 out of 41 stocks in the Investors Business Daily Cosmetics Personal Care Group. The group holds a middling 105th rank out of 197 industry groups they follow, but that's up from 149th 4 weeks ago. So it's had about 160% gain over the last year. The stock started its ascent on the company's strong beat of the fiscal second quarter earnings and sales estimates on November 1st. ELF stock clawed back from the bottom of the base on October 31st and reclaimed its 50-day moving average on November 15th. So right about over here. Earnings explode once again. ELF Beauty continues to show impressive profit growth. Earnings grew 128% year over year during its fiscal second quarter. It followed 182% and 223% gains in the prior quarter. Sales growth has been consistent, ranging from 76 to 78% in the last 3 quarters. The beauty company now expects $48 million of sales coming from Naturium skincare business that it acquired on October 4th for $355 million in cash and company stock. An analyst recently raised estimates as shown by green arrow next to the earnings estimates on the weekly MarketSmith page. So on the weekly, I don't really see that right at the moment, but we'll have to look further into that. So it has accumulation distribution rating of A, indicating heavy institutional buying over the last 13 weeks. Another positive sign is that it has a 1.9 up-down volume ratio. A reading above 1 indicates higher volume on up days than down days over the past 50 days. We can just see all the blue bars over here, the low red bars. Once again, the blue bar, 1 red bar. What big funds have ELF in it? Lord Abbott Developing Growth Fund. Just bring that up here. This is average daily. This is the price movement of Lord Abbott. And then we're T. Rowe Price New Horizons Fund is the other one that holds good position. And you can go over to ELF. We can open this up. Fund ownership summary. 370. You can just see how more and more funds are taking active participation in this. Invesco Discovery has a 2.818% position. Lord Abbott a 1.43. You can just scroll down here. T. Rowe Price New Horizons had a 0.4%. Alger Small Growth 0.63. So that's what we're looking at there. So before we close up our show, let's just take a run down and take a look at some of the issues that we've been predicting would move up. First, in the biotech space, BLTE. We first profiled it over here on the show. Started the year around $12.53, moved up to $36.70, had a little consolidation, and then broke out again up to $40.60, had another pullback. See, it's shorter in duration, and it moves up, and right now it's at $44.80. Recent look at is ARM. This is IPO based, but in some ways it isn't because it already was a public company. But got a cup with a handle base here. I really like this breakout here. I believe I bought it around, the calls around 62, and then converted to shares, and it broke out here. It's up to 71.20. And then we have Kava. This was a natural base, which we were talking about 16 to 25 days. And right around here is when I recommend buying it. And it moved up, moved up, moved up to 58.10. And this is where I said to sell right around 52. And then it fell from 52 to 29.85, bounced up to 35, pulled back again. Not quite as low. That was a good sign. Pulled back to 29.66, so it kind of undercut this 29.85. I guess you would call that a double bottom. 37.74 out of that double bottom would be the breakout. I was buying over here when it was exhibiting this tight shelf. And then it's broken out, and now it's getting institutional support over here. So also in the restaurant area, I was looking at this company Toast the other day, and Toast is getting a little toastier. Had 3-day tight over here, another 3-day tight. You may want to wait for it to get above the 200-day moving average, but I kind of like this. Move on to DN. We looked at this a little earlier. Denison Mines had a little pullback to 170, and then we bounced. Got up, went up about 5% today. Originally I bought this over at 85 cents. Sold out of it, and then got back into it. I believe it was $1.19, and then sold some more right over in this area. Take a look at ELF. So yeah, ELF, we bought that when it was coming up here around 120. I believe I really like this tight pattern. Once again, it kind of looked like a shelf pattern over here. My favorite pattern due to date. Arrow had this pullback, giant pullback, said at some point it's going to bottom, and it went up here, bought some shares, pulled back, and then when it came over here, I bought some more shares. So it's working nicely. It's up about 10% from my buys. GLSI had this previously, bought around here, and then when it pulled back, I sold out of it, and now it looks like it's kind of bottomed. We'll see if this is building a shelf. It did have kind of a nice move, so you would expect it to pull back, and we'll just see if it can move up. And we're just slightly positive right now. GitLab had a strong feeling right before earnings. Bought a $52 call, and it gapped up. It's held the gap. As long as something holds the gap, I'm happy to keep holding it. Moved up, had a slight pullback, moved up even higher, and now is trying to build the shelf. You want these things to tighten up. Means where people are professional money managers are holding. So that's looking good. Also, right before earnings, had a good feeling about Samara. Bought a calls at 25, gapped up, went up to 34, and now it seems to be trading in a little tight area. And we'll just see if it can have a natural breakout. Meta, we talked about when it was bouncing over here, whenever it was bounced back, said, I just noticed that investors would come in and boost this up to around 300 level. Said if the bond yield pulled back any, that I felt that Meta was going to move up. Sure enough, moved up to 330, had a little bit of a pullback, 279, and then surged again to 342.92, and now it's at 354. So we bought two call options at 330. So we got a nice move in that as well. And as long as it continues to do well, we'll convert those options into stock. We talk a little bit about silver. This would be a great place to sell at least 10%. And then on the pullback, when it bounces, buy 15% back. And that's what we did. And we'll just see if it gets up here, and we'll just do it all over again. SMCI. This was really a strong stock during the pandemic in the AI. It just hasn't picked up any growth in AI, but we did buy a 310 call. Has pulled back a little bit, so it's a possibility that it's working on a handle here. We'll just see if it can move up, and if it doesn't, we'll just get rid of it. But it's tried to move up twice now. Once, twice, and we'll see if the third time is a charm. We looked at Tesla. We don't own CrowdStrike, but we had talked about it when it was at 150, right in this area. Actually, we did have it at one point, but got shaken out when it pulled back to 140. And now it has just gone up was at 260, and it's got a little pullback bouncing today. And the other one in its category, Zscaler, talked about it at 170. Like this really tight action here. Did have a little bit of a pullback, and then it bounced, and here we are at 221. And there was one in the building materials to see if this can work out. It's working on the right side of its base. We bought a number of $45 calls with the spread option, shorting the 50s, and we'll just see if this works out. We had, I believe it was 15, and we closed out of 3 of them yesterday just on a protection. So these are the issues that we're looking at. We'll keep watching them. And that's our report for today. This is Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Hope everybody has a great day and going out and enjoy your Friday tomorrow. So catch you tomorrow.